playing Henry Stickmin?
Yeah, it was the Hololive. Calliope Mori was playing Henry Stickmin. And she actually knew that it was a property that started on Newgrounds, and I was just completely surprised, to be honest. Like, how does anybody know this? I didn't even know that Henry Stickmin was put into a collection on Steam. I only knew it as games I could play on Newgrounds.
Yeah. Oh, everything's on Steam now.
Yeah.
I'm still,
and it's completely
like,
remastered. I think it's because
really?
Among Us did so well. It's by the same people. Among Us is made by the people that made Henry Stickmin. And they even put in like a few Among Us references in the collection.
Now they need to fix Castle Crashers, because for whatever reason, mine just wouldn't work.
Yeah, I don't know what's up with that. Worked for me.
The sound wouldn't work. Yeah. And I looked it up, and like the only things people were talking about like were from like 7 years ago, and it's like, okay.
Yeah, when the game had like relaunched on Steam.
Yeah, it's like, oh, here's how you get it to work in Windows 8, and I'm like, oh my god.
Yeah.
What the hell? I couldn't get it to work in Windows 10 in 2021, so I guess they haven't updated it or something. But
yeah, but I haven't had any problems. I'm slightly thinking it might be something to do with your setup, because you're always just having sound problems in general.
Yeah.
You've had sound problems with a few different games and stuff.
Yeah. But I tried both with my speakers and my headphones, and neither one. So, I don't know. If I wanted to delve into it, maybe there's some driver or something I needed to update, but
maybe the problem just solves itself if you shift it into mono.
Oh, maybe.
Yeah.
That could have been it. Maybe.
I know that was the problem with Final Fantasy III, is like you're only hearing half the tracks, because it turns out like some tracks were set to one or the other, and it was messing up in stereo, and you had to shift it to mono.
Yeah. It was so weird. I couldn't figure it out, because I was like, okay, music was playing for a while, and then it would stop.
And then it would switch which ones would and wouldn't play too.
Yeah. It was like random. And then finally switched it to mono. I was like, oh, I hear everything now.
Yeah.
That's great. So that was totally screwed up. But at least I had sound throughout Final Fantasy IV, which had the exact same problem.
Yeah.
The remake.
I think the problem too is I don't know why they couldn't just use the settings from the 3DS, but that version is the mobile version. And I don't know if you understand phones. While they try to emulate stereo, they have a single mono speaker, and they have to emulate stereo when you plug in a headphone.
Yeah.
So that might be the problem too, is the emulated stereo from the phone version.
Oh, I guess.
Yeah, I don't know why they wouldn't just use the sound encoding from the 3DS version, but whatever.
Yeah. I mean, that's the one good thing, I guess, about them coming out with a new release of 1 through 6. I just wish that they would also include all the extra content.
Yeah. Well, at least, people for the first time ever get to play the original version of 3 here without having to go and find a fan translation. I've played the original version, but I can't be sure how accurate the translation was. It was done by fans. Might actually be better than some of the Square translations, honestly.
Possibly.
I don't know who translated the modern games here. And some of those fans are actually pretty good, but I can't be sure. I don't know.
Yeah, I've only ever played the 3D version of 3.
Yeah.
With that whole expanded intro scene where you've only got one character and you have to find the others and all that stuff.
Instead of like, here are 4 Onion Knights that you can pick the names of or use the defaults, go to town.
Yeah.
They had no personalities originally, and it didn't matter what you named them.
Yeah, which made sense with the job system
Yep.
that they had on there. It was like you assign them whatever personalities you want. And it kind of didn't sort of necessarily steer you towards assigning certain jobs to certain people. It was just assign whatever jobs you want.
Yeah, and I think it was because in Japan there was a slight backlash to FF2. partially because of the leveling system, but they couldn't really tell why it wasn't selling as well as the first one. So they just kind of like backtracked. It's like, okay, well, we'll just make something that seems like an expansion of the first game.
Yeah, that's smart. But yeah, like in the remake, Ark always seemed like kind of a weakling, right? And so I always made him. Right, I know.
Yeah.
But it always led me to assign Ark to, like be a magic user, basically.
Yeah.
Because he always seemed weak. And then, like, what was it? Is it Lunith is the main character?
Yeah, well, I guess you could call him the main character. He's the first one you meet with the extended opening.
Yeah. Yeah, I always assigned him as some sort of, fighting character. Just because the personality they gave him was more of a strong character. So.
Yeah. Well, they tried to make him out to be the leader because he's the first one you meet.
Yeah. Yep.
Anyway, welcome to the Vomitorium Weekday show for 16th of July, 2021. As always, I am your host, The Metal, and joining me is my co-host, Marsupial Gamer. How you doing today?
Great. How are you?
I'm doing.
I took a day off today to play Skyward Sword, and I ended up basically sleeping all day.
Yes, I slept most all day too.
Yeah. Foot says Hylians are not an attractive people.
In general, no.
Yeah.
No, they're not. But to be fair, in general, humans aren't either, right? Like, most people are average looking.
Yeah.
Or worse. There's very, very few attractive people if you actually pay attention.
Yeah, there's the Link and Zelda, although the Skyward Sword Link has weird lips. I have to say. He has a weird face in general.
There's a lot more attractive women in Breath of the Wild. I think with the population thinning, for some reason, it's just like the attractive women got to stick around.
For the most part.
Yeah.
But yeah,
they were just like, when the Guardians and stuff were attacking, they're like, find the attractive women, keep them safe. They will be used for breeding.
Yeah. But yeah, the population of Skyloft is just like 90% undateable.
Yeah. Well, I mean, think about it this way. This very small population stuck in the sky, there's probably a lot of incest going on.
Yeah. A lot of inbreeding.
Yeah. You can't be helped. I mean, where are you going to go? Everybody's probably cousins.
Even Groose, I don't think is very attractive.
Yeah, somebody hit him in the face with a shovel.
Yeah. And gave him red hair for some reason.
Yeah.
There are theories that he supposedly is the ancestor of the Gerudo.
Yeah, I've seen those
similar
theories.
Features to most of them. And he's antagonistic towards Link.
Honestly, before Breath of the Wild, the Gerudo weren't especially attractive people anyway. Like, they had nice bodies, but they basically had like a shark fin for a nose coming straight out.
Yeah. Well, it was hard with the 3D of the time to make anything look attractive, I guess. Although even in the 3D remake,
yeah,
they weren't particularly. The brewer was cute though, right? I thought so.
I'm not into fish.
No, but no, Naburu.
Naburu. I thought you said Rudo. Sorry, it cut out for a second. All I heard was the ooh at the end. I thought you said Rudo. I'm not into fish. Naburu. She had like a buggy face in general.
I guess.
No, I just assumed you were saying Rudo was cute because you always say Rudo's cute.
Oh, well, Rudo was cute too.
And I'm not into fish.
Well, fine. So,
yeah.
We already talked about it, but what do you think about the stream? I keep calling it the Stream Deck, the Steam Deck.
I mean, I haven't heard too much more about it. Newell said that they had to be very aggressive in terms of pricing the Steam Deck. A low price was critical, and I agree. That was one of the first things that I praised about it, was that the price was much lower than I thought it was going to be, even for the lowest end model. And,
yeah. I wonder what the performance is going to be like with that memory, with the hard drive or whatever you want to call it, for the $400 model. But,
I want to say it's going to run fine. You're just probably going to take a little bit to load into a game initially. Once a game is running, it'll run fine, but you might get a little bit longer loading screens than you would on the higher models. That's
well, like when my PC had a hard disk drive. I don't remember if it was 5200 or 7800 RPM, but it would take forever to load anything, and Arc was virtually unplayable.
Yeah,
because it I always had to load stuff from the hard drive, so that drove me nuts. But like most games, once it loaded up, they worked just fine.
Yeah,
I just wonder.
It's going to be faster than an HDD at least. That's the biggest thing. It's going to be slightly slower than maybe loading something directly off of an SD card. But if you're getting the small one, most of your memory is going to be micro SD anyway.
Yeah. I don't think I'm going to put Arc on mine.
I wouldn't. I mean, maybe if you had a terabyte micro SD card, sure, but God, why would I want to?
I tell you what, I am going to try is Skyrim, because that's the one thing I said yesterday about I love playing Skyrim on the Switch, but there are no mods, so I want to try it with mods on the Steam Deck.
You'd have to pay me to play Skyrim again. Like that's just it.
Yeah. Well, we could play Final Fantasy 14 on it.
We could.
If you can figure out how to make an account.
Oh, I already have an account.
Yeah.
I had an account long before you did.
I don't know. Will my account work on the Steam version of it, though?
I don't know.
I don't know either.
Probably not.
I don't think I want to try it.
But I could play Phantasy Star Online on it.
Yeah?
Yeah, I do enjoy Phantasy Star Online.
Definitely. And Final Fantasy 15.
Yeah. The thing is, MMOs and stuff, you have to be connected to the internet. Final Fantasy 15, I could just pick up the Steam Deck and go somewhere where I'm not connected to the internet and still be able to play the game. As long as I'm not playing Comrades, because there is kind of like an MMO feature to 15 that a lot of people aren't aware of. It came out in 2018, I think, and it's called Comrades. And you actually kind of create a character, and you're playing in the semi-post-apocalyptic world that takes place in Chapter 13 of the game. There's actually a mission that was added to the Royal and Windows Edition where you get your Kingsglaive that you make pops up into the end game of the world, and you run a mission with them. They're an AI that goes with you. I was weird. I stumbled upon why is my character here? That is weird. I wasn't expecting that.
Interesting. What I was going to say about that. Oh yeah. So looking at the specs, I honestly think it might run faster than my current PC.
Probably will.
If they you said they worked with AMD and presumably have looks like a pretty decent GPU.
Yes.
So may actually be better than my current PC.
Yeah,
question is, when is the docking port?
Zen. They're using the Zen 2 APU and the Zen 2 CPU.
Mm-hmm. Well, I'll be interested to see how it runs. And I'll be interested to see, people are selling, crazily, Steam accounts that have it reserved, which to me is completely idiotic, because you can still reserve one. Go on your Steam account and reserve one right now if you want.
Well, I think what they're assuming is that the earlier reserved, the more likely you are to get it fast. Like they're going to go in ticket order. So they're trying to sell an account that was able to reserve it within like the first 5 minutes of it going up. And it's just like, I don't care about getting it day one, to be frank. I still have a computer where I could play all of these games on. Like I could get it 8 months later and I'm probably still good as long as I get one eventually.
Yeah. I wouldn't pay. I mean, I've seen prices at like $1,000 and up, and I'm like, and then you have to buy the thing too.
Yeah.
So that's just to get an early reservation. That's ridiculous. Plus, it's against the Steam TOS.
It is. You're not supposed to sell accounts at all.
Yeah. I'm like, God, who would buy that?
I don't know.
It's ridiculous.
I'm trying to think what other games that I would play on there. Because most games, I think I would rather still just sit there on my laptop and play it because I have a laptop strong enough to play these games.
Yeah, let's see. Well, I play Bloodstained Ritual of the Night. I have that.
Yeah, but I already have that on Switch. I mean, it'll look better.
Oh, you do?
It would have those cascading backgrounds that go off into forever that they don't have on the Switch version. But...
yeah. I'd play Double Dragon Neon. Dragon Quest 11 I have.
See, the thing is, what I think this makes good competition for is I have a lot of games on a lot of different storefronts on the PC, right? I've got stuff on like Origin, Ubisoft, and stuff like that. But what this would do is it would basically guarantee that I'm only going to be buying games on Steam because I want to be able to play those games on my Steam Deck.
Yeah, that's the brilliant part of it. Like, I mean, just the fact that you get it.
I mean, you could technically just mod it, but you might get kicked off the Steam network.
Yeah, but when you buy it, you instantly have your entire Steam library in there. All right, that's the brilliant part. And then you're right. Like right now, I do have this internal debate. Well, a game comes out. Do I get it on Steam? Do I get it on Switch? I have to weigh the pros and cons and think, well, do I want it to be mobile? Do I want, what? How do I want to play this?
I don't even need the other consoles in debate, right? Because this debate for just the computer, right, from a PC gaming side of thing, has been there with these other storefronts. And the thing is, what storefront am I going to get a game from? GOG, when it's available, has kind of been my recommendation because it doesn't have any real form of, what's it called?
DRM.
Yeah, DRM, Direct Rights Management. And you basically just get the file and then can install it. And that puts Steam at a big hurdle when it comes to platforms like that. But if you have a device that preloads up all your Steam games, well, then you don't mind about the Steam DRM because at this point, it's no different than getting a digital game on a console. And it would make me want to get a Steam version over the GOG version because I'm going to load it onto my Steam Deck.
And presumably, you could hook up a controller to it, right?
Yeah.
Because it has Bluetooth. So
they'll probably prefer you to use the Steam controller, but you could probably hook up any Bluetooth controller to it realistically.
Yeah. So if you get the dock, you could even hook it up to a TV, a big screen TV, and that can be your console. So suddenly, your PC games are console games. So to me, there's no reason. I mean, except for occasional exclusives, there's no reason to get a PS5 or an Xbox.
Yeah, and that's been my thing with Steam for years too. It's like, or just PC in general, especially now that Xbox puts mostly all their games on the Xbox or the Microsoft Store, so I can play them on my PC anyway. Yeah. But the cool thing about this is it is designed to be able to be docked and projected onto a TV like the Switch. So it's better than my laptop, which in general is still a more powerful device. But it's running the bloated Windows operating system, as I brought up yesterday. I start to chug when I try to play a game on my larger screen plugged in through the display port of my laptop.
Yeah.
You won't have that problem with this device, though. So my laptop, while it's a portable gaming device, isn't. Would I have to log into Steam to play? Yeah, of course you'd have to. Oh, you'd hate having to log into Steam. Yeah, well, but you can be in offline mode for a long time without ever having to log in. Yeah,
I was going to say you can still play them in offline mode if it's recently picked up the license. You can always.
You just have to log in if you want to play an online game.
Right.
Because
so that's the case anyway.
Yeah.
But I mean, yeah, it'll still play offline if it can't ping the Steam servers.
Well, the benefit of this is Steam is always running on this device. And so you only have to log in when you set the device up, like if you were to use the Nintendo Switch.
Yeah. That's the one thing that bugs me a bit about the Nintendo Switch is that they've recently changed it so that I don't think you can play a game offline. Can you?
Yeah, you can. I play games offline all the time. Some it'll say checking to see if you can play the software, right? Like I've seen that many times. But basically what it's doing is just checking to see if you can play the DLC and stuff like that. Because I've gotten the message when I'm offline, and it will say, can't update game. Would you like to play in its current state? And I'll just run software anyway.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, you could play.
I don't know if okay. Yeah, that would be kind of crazy if you couldn't. Flit says Doom 2016 won't let him load the game without logging into Steam.
Yeah, well, that's id, which isn't id's problem specifically. That's Bethesda's problem. Certain companies do have this extra step where they want you to ping to make sure the license is good. You could blame that company more than you can blame Steam. You could play most Steam games offline, no problem.
Yeah, that's the exception, I think.
Yeah.
Than the rule.
Well, it's starting to become more and more the rule because some of these AAA companies are getting pretty greedy about it. But this won't be so much a problem with the Steam Deck. If you have a Steam Deck, you're going to be logged in all the time. Steam never closes off even when you turn your system down. Because it's like going to be like the Switch. The Switch never actually goes offline. Modern consoles don't unless you unplug them. They go into like a hibernate state where they can still receive updates and stuff like that.
But here's the question. Will it still work if it can't connect to the internet? Will Doom 2016 still work?
Yeah, I don't know about those games specifically. I probably won't. But again, then you can just say fuck Bethesda because it's their fault. They're the ones that are making you do that extra license check every single time.
Yeah.
And it's like, I like id as a company. I fucking hate their parent company. Maybe they'll start changing those things, though, because their new parent company, or I guess you could call it their grandparent company because it's the parent of their parent, Microsoft, already felt a lot of backlash to making people check in licenses all the time when they were going to launch the last console before this. So maybe they'll take that stuff away. Who knows? I don't have much hope for Bethesda as a company, but I got a little now that they're under Microsoft. Just a little. It's probably going to get crushed, but because it's only a little, I don't mind if it gets crushed.
Oh, interesting. Little update here. Currently on Steam, the 512 gig model, if you reserve now, don't expect it to be delivered before Q3 2022. And
I'm getting the 64 gig. I'm pretty sure is what I'm reserving. So
that one says Q1 2022. Yeah. So it says Q1, 2, and 3 for the 3.
Yeah, I don't even know if I should bother reserving it though, because I'm probably not getting it by then. But then again, it's like, what, I lose $5 if I don't pick it up? It's not that bad. I might reserve it anyway.
And you got to think, like, how many people are maybe reserved it and aren't going to get it?
Yeah.
I mean, there's going to be some percentage. Oh, or here's the other thing: you could reserve it, get it. It'd be pointless to do it now. But if you got an early reservation and you can get it like right away, maybe even in December, then you could always sell it for a profit.
I would not, though.
So, yeah. But I'm saying you could.
Yeah.
That is a thing that could happen.
Oh, you know what game I could play? I wonder if they could on the SSD, because Steam has the capability of reading music files. There is like a Steam music player that you can use during games. I'm going to load Audio Surf up onto it if I can load up a bunch of music files. I'd have to be online to play it, but I love Audio Surf. No, you can play Audio Surf offline. It just doesn't connect to the scoreboards. I've played it offline before. Yeah, dude, Audio Surf is fun. I'm looking at my Steam library because I only have the, you hit the play button in the corner. It only shows games that are installed and ready to play. And it's just like a bulk of it's like I have every single Final Fantasy game for the most part on here. It's like, yeah, I kind of know what's going to be installed on the system.
Yeah, I'm going through. Yeah, I'm looking at mine too. I'm like, why do I still have this installed? Why do I still have this installed?
I have to put that though, like the ready to play, because I've got like several hundred games and it's hard to find anything, even alphabetically.
No, yeah. I don't. I probably should. I probably about half of the games that I've got on here I have installed.
Oh man, not even. I've got 18 games installed right now.
No, really?
Yeah.
But I got a lot of really small games like Doom and, Baldur's Gate and stuff like that.
I have like 18 out of 350 games. Like I'm not installing half all my games. There would literally be my whole hard drive. I would not have room for projects or anything on here. Especially with how big some of these games are.
Let's see. I have oh, why did it? That's weird. Oh, because I saved it as what? Oh, I see. Okay. It's weird how it sorts it. So yeah, I've got 76 installed locally and 145 not installed. Apparently.
Yeah. And so, in other news, talking about PC games and why would I go over to another console when I can just play it on PC, Sony is reportedly working on multiple upcoming PC ports of previously PlayStation exclusives. Now, don't get your hope up. They're probably going to Epic Games first. But a lot of times that still means eventually they will hit other platforms like Steam and GOG.
Mm-hmm.
We don't know what games though yet.
Games?
They haven't mentioned. They're just multiple upcoming PC ports.
Why would they go to Epic Games first?
Because Epic is probably the one paying Sony to port them. Every single PlayStation exclusive that's hit PC has hit Epic Games first.
Oh, okay.
Including the Kingdom Hearts franchise.
So don't count on playing.
Not for a while, anyway.
Final Fantasy VII Remake on Steam.
Yeah, not at least not for a while. Like a lot of these games that do hit Epic do eventually make it to Steam, like anywhere between 6 months to a year afterwards. But you're playing on a heavily weighted delay, especially now that Steam is coming out with their own console, and PlayStation is very, very competitive and what's the word? Stingy. Stingy is the word. That I doubt that they're going to want to port these things directly to Steam first. If Steam's going to have a console they can load it on that will compete against them.
Yeah. I can understand that, I suppose.
They have confirmed, though, that Bloodborne isn't one of them. Which is like the one everyone wants.
I don't even know what Bloodborne is. What is?
Have you ever played a Dark Souls game?
No, but I know what that is.
Okay. So Bloodborne is a PlayStation exclusive game from FromSoft that plays like their other games. They've been making the Dark Souls and series and Demon Souls before that. That has more of like a Victorian Lovecraft vibe to it. So there's like guns. You can get a gun parry off on people with silver bullets. There's things like werewolves and vampires and fiends and plague masks and stuff like that. There's chain whip is pretty cool. It's called the threaded cane, and it's like an actual cane that you can use like a sword or whatever to beat people with. It's got razors on the end, but it also has a shift mode where it turns into a whip. Like it loosens up, and you can like actually use a whip. It's the closest thing to running through the game like a Belmont. It's an
I
okay
see
game.
I'm looking at the PS1 port of Bloodborne.
I've seen that.
You seen that?
I have. Yeah.
That's a real thing, apparently.
Yeah. The PS1 D-Master. I actually think we talked about it on the show probably like half a year ago.
Yeah, I remember that.
Yeah.
Apparently it's progressed to the point where it's gotten to the first boss fight.
Oh.
So I guess it's still kind of, in progress, the PS1 D-Master.
I thought it was pretty cool, but it might be optimized better than Bloodborne. Here's my problem, right? I've played through Bloodborne. It's actually the Souls-type game that I've played through the most, because I played it to, like... I didn't do, like, 100%, but I played it through, like, the end boss, right? And that game is optimized horribly for being a console exclusive. It is only on the PlayStation, and it runs as poorly as playing, or if actually slightly more poor than playing Souls games on PlayStation. Games that run way better on PC in general, but obviously you can't play this version on PC. It's laggy as fuck. Like there's an input delay in Bloodborne.
You're talking about PS4 though, right?
Yes, on the PS4, the actual system it's built on. Bloodborne, there is an input lag that you can feel when you're playing it. Like when you tell your character to roll or to parry, you have to like time things ahead of time because you know there's going to be a delay. And that's fine, you can compensate for it, but it's something you don't have to deal with like the Souls type games over on PC. There is no input lag as long as you're running it on a system that can handle it.
Yeah, it's weird that it's in a PlayStation exclusive and doesn't run very well on the PlayStation.
I'm wondering if it was intentional, though, to make it run pretty much identically to the Souls games on the PlayStation. So people who had played it on that platform would have the same experience that they've been having.
Yeah. Well, can you play it on PS5?
I don't know. It might be one of the ones that get an update. It should be one of the ones that get an update. And I don't know if that input delay will still be there.
Yeah. Strange.
But I hated it. Like, I liked certain aspects of the game. I'm not really a fan of the Souls games in general. I've played a few of them, but not all the way through. I did like some of the aspects with how they changed the upgrade system. It still used, like, the Souls collection thing, and you trade them in, but a lot of the options were different, and it felt like you were a little more free to make the character the way you wanted to. There were some cool aspects about it. But man, was that input delay pissing me off the entire time I was playing that game.
Yeah.
It's like a quarter-second delay, too. Like, it's pretty heavy. You can feel a quarter-second delay.
Yeah, I can imagine. It reminds me of some games. I don't know if I can think of one in particular, but like some games on the NES that, had a definite input delay. You just had to plan for it.
Usually not Nintendo first-party games, though, or something that Nintendo paid for. It was usually like some other third-party game. Somebody got their game on there. They didn't bother to make it like super efficiently. They didn't bother to test it to see if this is running well. But like I don't remember input lag in almost any first-party Nintendo game. Like, Mario, the original Mario Brothers, is a super pixel-tight game, as you can even see from watching people speedrun those games.
Yeah. Absolutely. Zelda, same way. But, yeah, there were some third-party games that had it. But, I mean, we're talking 8-bit era. Like, it was acceptable to have some input lag here and there. Nowadays,
I'm trying
you
to
don't
think
really expect that.
what games they would port over, though. Right? Like, I don't see God of War being ported, but if anyone, I would like to play God of War on PC.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe
Ratchet
Horizon.
Clank?
Yeah. I wouldn't play Horizon, but I could see that one being ported. Trying to think. They probably wouldn't do the Spider-Man game, but no, actually, maybe they would. I could see Epic actually convincing them to do Spider-Man.
Mm-hmm. I'm trying to find what all. Let's see. What PS5 exclusives there are. Death Stranding.
I think some of
Cut.
them would be PS4 exclusives. Like, if they're going to port some things, they're going to do things from the last generation.
I guess. Demon's Souls.
They did do a remake of Demon's Souls recently.
Gran Turismo 7.
Was that an exclusive? Why? What?
Apparently.
Oh man, I do actually like Gran Turismo. That's one of my favorite series when it comes to like racing games. It's not as good as Ridge Racer. I wish Ridge Racer was still popular, but
Yeah, I remember when Gran Turismo 1 came out.
Yeah.
And it was awesome. It was amazing.
I love the original Gran Turismo.
Yeah. How about this Horizon Forbidden West?
Yeah, that's the sequel to Zero Dawn. So I think it's probably far more likely that Zero Dawn would be ported first instead of the newer one. Not that I would play it. Everybody was hyping that game up, and when I saw it, I was like, this is generic RPG of the year, the game. Like, most of it. That's the problem with Sony games. I don't want to play most of their first-party games. The vast majority of them, the Sony house style that they pay these companies to make, are open-world adventure game with limited mechanics that kind of all function the same with a similar protagonist. And the only thing about Horizon Zero Dawn is, like, you're in the wilderness surviving, and there's monsters that are actually machines. It's like, yeah, but I could go play Xenoblade with RPG mechanics if I want something like that.
And there's games like this, like Returnal, which I know nothing about, but I've seen. It strikes me as like one of these soulless, just like cookie cutter movies that come out. Like, half the time when I'm like, I wonder what's playing at the movie theater, I look at it, there's a bunch of movies I've never heard of.
And they're all the same.
Yeah, they're all the same. They look like they have impressive posters. I'm sure it costs millions of dollars to make them. I'm like, I have no desire. It's going to be some generic nothing.
Well, that's actually my problem with God of War, because God of War's like that too. The recent one, it's just a movie, right? There's some gameplay, but it doesn't have like the vertical and combo action the old God of War games have. I like this Kratos more than the old one in some ways. He seems to actually, well, they're probably going to destroy his character after this game, but he seems to have evolved into an actual, like, responsible father figure, which does seem good for his arc after the last 3 games, but the gameplay's shit. Like, it's just generic open world RPG. That's all it is.
These AAA studios, who are also the ones most likely to have an easy games journalist mode, are the ones pumping out these awful, just cookie cutter, bland, things, and some people go crazy over it. And I'm just like, I will never ever have any desire to play any of that bullshit. It's just crap. I mean, The Last of Us 2 is just like it too.
Yeah,
it's just a bunch of shit.
You know what wasn't shit? Something to come out of that same era and wasn't an exclusive, so they were still able to make the game they wanted to make, was Capcom's Devil May Cry 5, which still played exactly like you expected a Devil May Cry game to play. That's what the fans want. If you're coming back from a series, or if you're a studio that's known for making things a certain way, the fans want you to make it the way you've made it. They just want you to bring it to modern technology. Like, oh, what can you do now with this, like the way that you did combat back then? What can you throw in, spice things up?
Yeah. So I wish they had done Final Fantasy VII the right way. Make it just like the original, only better.
Just consume.
Yeah. That's why I literally, and I'm not even joking, haven't been to a movie theater in probably 5 years, 4 or 5 years. I'm just like, why would I ever?
Oh yeah,
I mean, I haven't been
interested. The last time I went, it was just to see 2 giant monsters beat the shit out of each other. That was the only reason I went.
Yeah, I mean, I'm tempted to go to that or to what's the new thing that just came out? Oh yeah, Black Widow.
Black Widow, but God,
I kind of want to see.
I thought it was going to be bad, but now I'm just hearing worse and worse things about it after it's already been out and people are saying things.
Yeah. Oh, and I noticed Space Jam is out on HBO Max.
Oh, dude, that looks like shit, and I want to watch it because it looks like shit.
Oh, I could play it. I mean, I didn't even realize that it was coming out on HBO Max. I was like, oh, well, I could watch it for free.
Yeah. It looks like an absolute dumpster fire.
Well, what's funny is I didn't realize there were all these references. Like, there's like Rick and Morty show up at one point, and there's a scene from Casablanca and all this stuff that they shoehorned in. I was like, oh, that looks kind of cute. I don't know. I'm sure it's shit. But...
It looks like everything that was wrong with Ready Player One.
Yeah.
Which was just
the voices,
bad cash grab.
The voices look terrible. Sound terrible. Like, I'm like, that doesn't sound anything like those characters. Blech.
Yeah, and a lot of it's because it's like the modern voices for the characters. But even going back, we had this problem in the original Space Jam. If you go back and listen to Bugs, I'm fairly certain he was voiced by Billy West because it was right after, Mel.
Yeah. But usually, if they tried, they could have probably found voice actors who could do better approximations.
But I think it's the people that were actually, for the young audience, that have been doing the voices. Because they do have Looney Tunes shows that are running currently. There was one that actually just ended not too long ago called The Looney Tunes Show. And then there's also one that started in I think the Looney Tunes show stopped in 2017. There's like a 2019, they actually put up these new shorts on HBO Max, or was it 2020? It's something very, very recently. They started doing something that was in the vein of the old Looney Tunes stuff. But it still looked horrible because they were like taking away Elmer Fudd and Yosemite Sam's guns and stuff like that. Yeah. But there are people currently doing the voices, and I think they just picked the same voice actors. So for the kids, it sounds right. But if you grew up on these people, they're wrong, you know?
They didn't sound right to me, but I'm just an old fuddy-duddy.
Yeah.
Oh, well.
Well, it's like you get this with everything, right? Like the Muppets. There's a specific voice for the Muppets, and if you don't do it right, you shouldn't do it at all.
Yeah, you would think. Yeah. Hell, Nick Rekieta is a pretty good Kermit.
Yeah. Well, a lot of people do a pretty good Kermit, but very few people do an accurate Kermit. And one of the things with these characters is it's not just imitation. Like, I can do a pretty good Marvin the Martian, but when you're playing these characters, you kind of have to become the characters, right? Almost like a method type thing in a way, where you have to over and over recite the characters' lines in ways that you get their actual personality and expression down until you can sell the character without thinking about it.
Yeah. Yeah, and I doubt that they put that much effort in these days.
I highly doubt it. Yeah. But that's
Well,
just the way
anyway.
it is. I think I'm actually supposed to watch Space Jam with a group today, maybe. I need to look into it. Because I remember in the Newground Summerfest server, which is still running, there's still people in there, somebody on their birthday wanted to watch Space Jam. And I'm like, oh, you know what? It looks like a trash fire. I am down to watch it. Isn't the bad guy just Don Cheadle? I think I remember that from the commercials. Like, it's straight up just him. He's basically supposed to be like Master Control from Tron, but it's Don Cheadle.
Mm-hmm. For the new Space Jam movie?
Yeah.
I haven't looked into it that much.
I saw the trailer when I was in the theaters to watch Kong versus Godzilla.
Okay.
And it's basically the plot's more Tron than it is like the original Space Jam. They get pulled into a digital world, which is like the server that all of the WB properties are on.
Mm-hmm.
Which is why you would see stuff like Rick and Morty, because that's Adult Swim, which is a part of Cartoon Network, which is a part of Warner.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I was just thinking, like, when I saw a little clip of it that had like 3 or 4 different scenes from different movies and shows and stuff like that, and I was like, oh, I guess those are all Warner properties.
Yeah.
Clearly, obviously, including Casablanca, which is a great movie that I highly recommend.
It is. It's an amazing movie.
I once saw they had this thing in Nashville where the Nashville Symphony Orchestra would play music behind movies. So you basically go out to a movie, but the orchestra is sitting in front of it, and whenever music would play, they would play it instead. And I think they did that with Casablanca. I think.
And it's got one of the best closing lines in any film.
Yeah.
Which is, Lewis, I think this is going to be the beginning of a beautiful friendship.
Yeah.
And they just walk off into the fog. Like, how do you end anything better than that?
Yeah, I know. It's almost, it's become a cliche and part of modern culture.
It's so much so that a lot of people don't even know where it comes from because they've never seen it.
Yeah. Yeah, but the other one was Singing in the Rain, another movie.
That's another good one. You know what movie everybody told me was great? And I finally watched it. I'm like, this movie was just okay. It didn't deserve the praise it got. And that was Chariots of Fire.
Oh, I haven't seen that in so long.
Yeah, that movie does not hold up. It's not bad.
Really?
I think it's okay, but it's like a very average movie from a time where there weren't a lot of movies.
Yeah. It's about is it about a marathon or?
Yes.
Okay.
And partially it's also about rehabilitation. Like
right.
The story in it is a really good story. The execution is kind of blah.
Yeah. I saw it once when I was really young, like I think when it first came out. Isn't it from the 80s?
It's
like it's from movie.
The 80s. Let me look.
So if I saw it, it was probably when I was like 6. 1981.
Yeah.
So gosh, that would have been 4. So I don't even know. I may have been 4 or 5 when I saw it. I just
because like the 80s were about the pickup in cinema where you were just starting to get more than like 4 or 5 movies in a theater at a time.
Yeah. You know what's also good? The original shoot, I can't even remember. It was
the original, probably good.
Yeah. Audrey Hepburn, Sabrina.
Oh, okay.
A lot of people don't like Sabrina, but it's definitely not her best work. But I thought it was decent.
I don't dislike it.
With Humphrey Bogart.
Yeah. See, Bogart. The thing is, Bogart's such a good actor; he carries anything.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Of course, Roman Holiday's better. if you like Audrey Hepburn.
Yeah.
But yeah, we could watch Space Jam if you want.
Well, we have another movie we got to watch first, though.
Yeah. What was the other one?
It was Invader Zim: Enter the Florpus.
Oh, right.
We said we were going to watch this in the Discord.
When are all these movies happening?
I don't know. When do you want it to happen? Obviously not today, because you're probably going to want to jump right back into Skyward Sword.
Yeah, probably. I don't know. Maybe tomorrow. Like I said, my house guests are leaving for the week. So I'm going to be all alone for a week. And
make sure the house doesn't burn down.
Yeah, hopefully. But yeah, we could maybe tomorrow. We'll have to figure out whenever everyone's available.
Well, in the future, you won't have to figure out whether people are available or not, because it turns out that the new Battlefield, which has already been putting out information that makes me never want to touch a new Battlefield game ever again, will not let you opt out of having AI teammates.
Okay.
Yeah. So, like, when you're doing online multiplayer maps or whatever, there used to be an option where you could turn it off where AI won't fill it. You'll just have, like, an uneven match or whatever. Nope. Can't opt out now. No matter what, you're going to have crappy computers holding your team back to fill in these bots. And
That's weird.
It is weird. Everything about this new Battlefield is weird. Ever since Battlefield 1, I've already wanted to stop touching Battlefield games, but with everything they've said about this one, I think I'm just done with Battlefield forever. No single-player mode, only training with bots, just multiplayer. You can't turn bots off whatsoever.
Mm-hmm. So having the AI members on your team actually is a detriment?
Oh, yeah, because they're easy things for the other team to kill.
But then, does that... I don't know how this game works. Is that bad? I mean, what if...
Yeah, it's bad because most of the time you're in death matches. So points are based off of, like, kills and stuff. So you're actually better off being on an uneven team with people who know what they're doing than it is to have, like, AI running around that could be farmed by the enemy team.
Yeah. Huh.
Yeah.
That seems weird.
Everything about this game just seems awful.
So essentially, nobody's going to want to do uneven teams. They're going to okay. If my team has AI players,
they'll just
your team
needs to
have the same.
Out.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Or just as long as the teams have the same number of AI players.
Yeah, but even then, with that's why people just turn it off, because even if you had even teams, but it didn't fill up to the whole lobby. That's the whole thing. They want to fill whatever the whole lobby space is. So even if your teams were even, now you both have like 4 AI players per team. Nobody's going to engage with each other. They're just going to go start farming the AI players that are easier to kill. Yeah.
It seems terrible.
Yeah.
I wonder if they're going to change that.
The whole game seems terrible from what they've been saying.
Is it not possible that they've improved the AI so they're harder to kill?
I don't care how good they improve the AI, unless they become impossible to kill and they're the ones dominating the team, human players are always going to be better and find a way to exploit whatever patterns they do.
Yeah. Rick says he's up for a movie tomorrow. Or 2. A movie or 2. Sounds good. Well, that's interesting because, like, I know there was a lot of pushback with Battlefield 5 having a weird woman with a robotic arm or something like that.
Yeah.
So now they're screwing up Battlefield 6 in new and different ways.
Yeah, fuck Battlefield. They haven't made a good game in a while. I used to prefer Battlefield. Like, they were the better game.
Is it like a battle royale kind of thing?
No, this is like classic
It's
classic
more
team
like Call of Duty.
deathmatch. Yeah,
Yeah, interesting.
and they'll
Is
have
it
other
are you?
modes like they always do like capture the point and shit like that, but the main mode is always team deathmatch.
Mm-hmm. Is there a timer?
Usually,
limit?
yeah. It'll either be time limit or refers to a certain goal.
Yeah. See, it's always Nintendo that has these unique takes on these kinds of things. Like with Splatoon, where you can kill the other players and that gives you an advantage, but the ultimate goal is to freaking paint the floors.
Yeah, but they've been doing objective-based shooters for a while now. not Nintendo. I mean, Splatoon is the first time they've done a shooter type thing. But you scroll back to like Team Fortress 2 is an objective-based shooter, where you could open up a lobby that is a team deathmatch, but nobody cares about that. The actual game for TF2 is either like a capture the flag type game where you have to get the secrets back to your team, or push the payload, or a King of the Hill type stuff, point capture. Overwatch is the same. I mean, Overwatch is just a ripoff of Team Fortress anyway, but it's the same thing. That's an objective-based shooter. These things exist, Nintendo just decided, hey, remember in Tony Hawk Underground, there was the graffiti game where if you did a trick on something, you painted it the color of your side. Let's do that, but as a third-person shooter.
Yeah.
I really like deathmatch and team deathmatch. As somebody who used to play a lot of Metroid Prime Hunters online, I definitely like deathmatch. It's fun. But it's really hard to find a good game with deathmatch these days. Even Quake ruined it. I love old Quake. Quake used to be my favorite deathmatch game in general. But the new one, the Quake Champions, is a hero shooter. It's still a deathmatch. It's not an objective-based shooter, which I like. But it's not just everybody has the same stats running in trying to find the gun they want and blowing people up. You actually have to play as one of these unlockable heroes that you have to unlock more of that have different skills. And you are running around picking up the different guns, but different characters use different guns better than others. And I'm like, why are you fucking with this? This is not what I wanted. That's why I only played the game for a week and dropped it. I was in the beta for that game, too. I played the beta for a week and dropped it.
Such a shame.
Yeah.
In the meantime, here's an interesting story I just came across. Among Us has been translated to Irish.
Cool.
I thought that Irish people spoke English.
No. Well, I mean, they do, widely, if you talk to them. But there's an Irish language that's, Gallic derivative.
That's interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was a surprise. I mean, I guess you could call it Old Irish? Is that, I mean...
No, it's still a currently spoken language that has evolved a little bit. It's not a dead language at all.
Interesting.
Yeah. I've spoken a few phrases on Irish holidays as I give people, like, the greetings and stuff like that.
Mm-hmm. Well, you can now play Among Us in Irish. And the translator says he wants to translate Skyrim into Irish, too.
There are certain games that I think it would be cool to be translated in Irish, especially thematically.
Yeah.
But it's, that would just be a cool thing. It's not like something I would see as a must, because again, everybody in Ireland speaks Irish or, I don't know, some form of Arabic because it's being overrun by people.
Yeah. Well, apparently, according to this article, that Irish is required to be taught in school.
Yeah, it is.
So apparently everyone in
Ireland
does
can speak it, but nobody does.
Yeah.
That's the thing about it.
Yeah, they all just speak bad English.
Yeah.
That's right. Is that girl? I guess the girl from Horizon, that new Horizon game. I guess she looks more Scottish, right, with the orange hair.
Yeah,
or is that Irish?
I mean, kind of in look, but her tribe and everything, they don't act Gallic at all.
Oh, Okay.
Yeah.
She reminds me of Merida from that Pixar
From
movie.
Brave. Now that's Scottish.
Brave, yeah.
Merida's very specifically Scottish Brave.
Yeah.
They're very similar though. They used to be one group of people at one point in time, and then the first Ulrich King of Ireland was a branch that split off from Scotland. There's a lot of heavy detail. My family's actually wrapped up in that. Because the ancestor where I get my namesake from is actually the cousin of the first Ulrich King. Could have been it himself. There was some dispute over the line. His name was Craw.
Fascinating.
Yeah.
Well, my mom is apparently Irish, but
Yeah.
I don't really know much about it.
Yeah. But that's all the time we have.
Yeah,
So that's a story for another day.
I guess so.
Yeah. Thanks for watching. If you enjoy the show, please share it with somebody else you might like it. And if you really enjoy the show, consider giving a donation to streamlabs.com/vomitorium live. And we'll see you in the next episode.
And join our Discord. We're going to be doing some movies apparently this weekend.
Yeah. And a little less than legally, so.
You didn't hear that from us.
You heard it directly from me. Anyway, see you guys later.
See ya. Boop.